welcome LinkedIn's VP of Talent Solutions, Wade Burgess.
Welcome to the 5th annual Talent Connect. I know that a lot of you have come a lot of miles. We have over half of you have traveled over 1,000 miles to get here. Some of you, we have 28 countries represented today. And I know that with logistics that bring us together like this, there are airline challenges, there are hotel issues, there are wardrobe issues. So thank you for taking the time and the effort. Our most precious commodity is time. And thank you for taking the time to come together today. This is that moment of the year where we get together to connect, to inspire, and to transform ourselves and the talent acquisition industry in general. And you know, for me, I couldn't be more excited to see the over 4,000 people with us here in San Francisco, with thousands more of you joining live stream around the world, because it energizes me, and it energizes you. And when we get together like this, magic happens. You know, one of the things that I am so inspired about with my role at LinkedIn is that my personal mission is connected almost perfectly with the corporate vision. So my personal mission is to help people live better lives. For example, when I'm not with all of you, one of the things that I love to do is to coach my children's sports teams. And so, as a former collegiate wrestler, I love to watch these little kids come in the room, and they're usually really small and a lot of energy and some talents and ambition and no direction whatsoever. And sometimes they actually aren't getting a lot of guidance at home. They're not getting a lot of support in the schools. But when they step on the mat, and we can provide them some discipline, we can let them focus their efforts and their skills in a direction that gives them a sense of being and a sense of accomplishment and a sense of community. It's amazing to watch these kids' lives change right before your eyes. You know, and really, in talent acquisition, that's what all of us do. Is we connect talent with opportunity in a way that inspires people and helps them live a better life. LinkedIn's vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And I can't imagine a vehicle that helps empower people more than economic opportunity. It empowers an individual and the community around them and their country and the world. We do this by connecting talent with opportunity at a massive scale. The context of this is in something we call the economic graph. The economic graph is just a digital mapping of a global economy. It has 6 dimensions, and it starts with a profile for every member of the global workforce. Not just the 600 million knowledge workers, of which we have over half on LinkedIn today, but all 3 billion of them. And the graph continues with a profile for every company and organization. And inside of these organizations, there are jobs or opportunities. And we want to digitally represent all of them. And these jobs require sets of skills. And those skills can be provided by learning institutions. And finally, we want to digitally represent all of the relevant professional knowledge. Never before has all of this information come together in one place. Imagine all 6 dimensions in one place and the interconnectedness of all of them. We call this the economic graph. And we believe that it can fundamentally change the way the world works. Now, in a room full of talent acquisition professionals, the focus is often on that first pillar, a profile for all 3 billion members of the global workforce. So let's focus on that. We have over 2 members join LinkedIn every second. And as we scale, you get access to all of the global workforce. This is great news. But it also creates many sleepless nights for a few of our teams here at LinkedIn. And it all comes down to two numbers: 3 billion and 1. 3 billion is the size of the global workforce. And as we scale from 313 million members to 3 billion, what we do best becomes even more challenging, which is finding just the right person for your job at the right time. Finding a needle in a haystack is a gross understatement. Statistically, it's more like finding an atom in a hayfield. And that brings us to the second number: 1. Because having access to every member of the global workforce is useless unless you can quickly and easily find that person that is the right fit for your job. So I presented the challenge. How do we go from 3 billion to 1? So in order to solve this problem, we turn to our most trusted product advisors, all of you. We have expert advisory groups. We have the LinkedIn 100. We have executive briefing centers. We have a lot of formal ways that we gather feedback from you. But I decided to make this personal. And I looked on TripIt this morning. And I noticed that I've been to 98 cities in 22 countries in the last 6.5 years, meeting with all of you and with the teams that support you. And I can tell you that those conversations, you challenge us, you challenge our assumptions, you inspire us, you give us vision for what should happen and where talent acquisition should go next, and what's possible, and what you need, and what our members need, and what your candidates need. Those are the things that help us do great things together. And whether I'm meeting with Michelle in Toronto, or John Tate in London, or Diane Hughes in Chicago, Monica in Seattle, Short at Accenture, Chris at PepsiCo, the list goes on and on and on of these personal relationships and people that I've had the privilege to interact with, and that the thousands of our employees have had a chance to interact with all of you. And I've thought about, what is it about those conversations that make you such an incredible partner? What make you rock stars? And I've tried to boil it down into two things. The first is insight. You know the market better than anyone. And you know how to have those conversations with hiring managers. And the second is fit. You know better than anyone in your companies who is likely to be the right fit for your organization. Google actually has a term for people that are a good fit. They call them Googlers. And it's no coincidence that Laszlo Bock is going to be on stage later talking to you about how Google uses fit to determine Googlers. But the insights that you have depend on the amount of professional information you have available at your fingertips. You know, things like how many software developers are in Dallas, Texas, or what schools produce marketers who excel in your organization. So the amount of professional information you have determines your ability to provide insights and strategic insights. LinkedIn has more professionally relevant information than anyone. 313 million professionals, over 3 billion endorsements, 25,000 schools, billions of updates. It's a lot of information in one place. And as we start to realize the economic graph, that becomes even more and more and more information that we have at our fingertips. But we know to help you go from 3 billion to 1, we have to start looking at this information differently. We want to be able to surface new insights to help you better hone in on those people who are a fit. So I'm excited to share with you our vision of how we can help you go from 3 billion to that one perfect fit. Let's start by looking at insights. Hiring the right person starts with the understanding, really, of the market, of the talent pools available, And the more insights you have, the better able you are to have a conversation with the hiring manager that's strategic for the business. Let's do this for a moment. Raise your hand if you've ever worked with a hiring manager with unrealistic expectations. No clue what they were talking about. No surprise, a lot of hands. That's me. On behalf of hiring managers everywhere, I sincerely apologize. I can tell you, I have made some crazy demands on our talent team. I mean, not in the distant past. I mean, like, this week. Literally this week. And I'm not alone at LinkedIn. I'll tell you a story about Brendan Brown heads up our talent acquisition team. And he's exceptional. But Brendan was sharing with me a story that I had to share with all of you. And it was about a rec they were trying to fill on our data center team. Now, this is a very high profile, very important role. Brendan's team was obviously under a lot of pressure, right? In his own words, Brendan said, "This is going to be a real show." So he told the hiring manager, "I'll be there in an hour." He went to LinkedIn, and he started to gather some insights to prepare for this conversation. Pulled the information together, ran over to the hiring manager's office, and showed him the talent pool available. There were 7 candidates based on the criteria he was given. Not 7 in Silicon Valley, 7 in the world. Jaws dropped, more expletives flew. The hiring manager was shocked. But in that moment, the credibility of talent acquisition and of Brendan and his team fundamentally changed. Because not only was he able to bring the right insights to determine and define the problem, he actually brought insights with some recommended solutions. Changing some of the parameters, the talent pool grew to 126. Look how happy Brendan is. And as Brendan put it, the show was avoided. And most conversations between hiring managers and recruiters don't go this smoothly. And we want to help you have the right insights, have this type of insight, which demonstrates why we're building new capabilities right now for you to take to your hiring managers. Let me give you a sneak peek of what we're talking about. We were chatting with our friends at Citrix recently about some of the hiring challenges, and Beth Feldman, who recruits the enterprise sales team for North America, was talking about a sales engineer role with a specific set of certification requirements. So these people are few and far between. And to top it off, the hiring manager was looking specifically for someone in Detroit. And Beth had a sinking feeling that, like, this was probably going to make the search more difficult. As you can imagine, her instincts were correct. Another purple squirrel situation, 14 people fit the bill. So what we're doing is building a data visualization tool to help address scenarios just like Beth was faced with. By using this tool, Beth would be able to quickly get the insights she needed to have the conversation with the hiring manager, to recommend opening up the search, not just opening up the search, but a strategic way of opening up the search to be more effective. For example, what if Beth wanted to know the best nearby locations? And she could see that by opening up geography slightly, it triples the size of the talent pool. And in this case, that she should potentially prioritize Cleveland and Columbus ahead of Grand Rapids and Lansing. In the same conversation, she can bring up the fact that this group has a lot of experience. The original plan was to hire a mid-level person. But understanding the experience levels, the hiring manager is probably going to come to the conclusion we either need to change the comp and level expectations or broaden the search further. Another type of dimension to look at is Beth could look at number of years in role. And those who are very recently in their role and those who've been there a long time are less probable to move. And they could prioritize those who are in the sweet spot of likely to be receptive. So to jumpstart her search, Beth can drill down into this group and prioritize them with a hiring manager. With data visualization, Beth is able to bring the right insights to the hiring manager for that specific search at that time, to be able to make decisions to open up the search in the right way. Kicking off a job search with the right insights, though, is only part of the hiring process. You have to find the right one. And that brings us back to fit. Those who have joined us at prior Talent Connects, or perhaps you read the book or have seen the movie Moneyball, you're familiar with the story of Billy Beane. The baseball scouts traditionally have believed that they could look at a player and tell if they were going to be good. They were looking at a finite set of data about each player. And Billy Beane's breakthrough was that he believed that if you looked at a much broader set of data, you could come up with different insights. Things like on-base average and other things he started looking at that others weren't, to find the hidden gems. And in the process, he transformed baseball and the way recruiting is done. And that's what we're doing at LinkedIn to talent acquisition, is to start to look at a broader set of data, at all of the information available. We recently hosted Billy at a Sales Connect conference a few weeks ago, and he was quick to point out that the A's had one of the more winning seasons with the 4th lowest payroll. That is a smart approach to talent acquisition. But I have to tell you, since Billy's not with us here today, and today marks Game 1 of the World Series. Just wait. I need to say something. Go Royals. Thank you for indulging me that moment. I've waited decades to say that. You Giants fan have had to wait, like, what, a few years? It's painful to be a Royals fan. Thank you for indulging that moment. Back to regularly scheduled programming. So just as Billy looked at more information to find the right talent, we're going to look at more information on LinkedIn to help you find the right talent. So today, we've helped you find the right one by searching or filling out job descriptions based on skills and experience. This is effective. It's been very effective in helping people who find a good fit for the job. But equally important is finding people who are a good fit for your company and for your organization. And as we make our way to 3 billion members, we now have a lot more information at our fingertips so that we can help you find people who are not only a good fit for your job, but people who are a good fit for your organization. And we want to use this to find the right fit, and that's why we're piloting a new search experience. It's going to analyze more of the professional information available on LinkedIn to spot patterns. Like the top schools you tend to recruit from, companies that you tend to recruit from for certain roles in certain geographies, people that your employees are already connected to. The social capital of your organization is largely untapped today. And people who follow your company, they've already expressed intent and interest. These types of signals surface people who are not only a good job fit, but that are also a good fit for your company. The reason this is important is these people are much more likely to respond to an email, to receive an offer, to accept the offer, and ultimately to be a successful long-term hire. All of this happens in the blink of an eye when you're running search. So you can quickly go from that 3 billion down to 1. So let me describe this for you this way. Put it in the context of a search. Let's say that you're looking for a new sales leader. You've done a search in Recruiter, and you've found a few hundred good fits. Sound familiar? Rather than spending all of the time screening and interviewing a few hundred good fits, we're looking for a better way. Taking a cue from Billy Beane, we'll scour the signals that we have on LinkedIn. And look at the type of sales leaders who are already a good fit in your organization. We'll look at which sales leaders are interested in your company. and prioritize that aren't just those people who are not just a good fit for your job, but those who are a good fit for your company. For example, let's say that sales leaders traditionally come from startups that succeed in your company. But currently, you're prioritizing the tech giants. Or perhaps those who are literally connected to your coworkers. We want to focus the search on the highest quality, warmest leads to be able to save you time and be more successful. Let me just pause for a moment to make sure you understood what I just said. Historically, we have helped you find people who are a good fit for your job. Where we're going is adding to that the ability to find people who are a good fit for your company as a fundamental expansion of the concept of connecting talent with opportunity at massive scale. Imagine how much more efficient it is when you can find the right fit. Imagine how much more relevant it is to the candidate to find a company that they're likely to match with. Now let me ask you this. How many of you or someone you know have ever been a good fit for a company, a good fit for a job, but not a good fit for the company? Do you know anyone like that? Of course. Don't raise your hand if it's your current company. But it's important to make both of those happen. It's really important for the cultural element of your company. But doing so creates a win-win-win scenario. So imagining that scenario is really something that happens soon. Within a few months, you won't have to imagine anymore, because both of those products that I just mentioned, both of those enhancements, are going to be available in the first half of next year. This is all made possible by the realization of the economic graph, and because of all of you. Let me emphasize that last point. Talent acquisition is a function that's fundamentally transforming. And at LinkedIn, we are honored to be a part of that journey. In my lifetime, I've had the opportunity to watch 3 functions go through a significant transformation. And the first was finance. So when my father started his career, he worked for a company at the time. It was called Mutual of New York. And at that time, the financial professionals in a company were often in the basement of a building with no windows and green visors running a 10-key. And throughout his career, he watched what started to separate an average company from a great company was financial acumen. And the function of finance went from those basement offices with green visors to the second most influential voice in most organizations in the form of a CFO. The second industry I've had a chance to experience is IT. When I started my career, those offices that had been vacated by the accountants running 10 keys were now filled with IT people. They were fixing computers and building databases. And I've made a career of working with that function and helping them create a more and more strategic role inside of organizations. And in my lifetime, what separated an average company from a great company has traditionally been their use of technology, data, and insights. So that today, the function of IT, in the form of a CIO and CTO, is an incredibly influential voice at the table. It's been so fun to watch that journey. We're now in the middle of the third transformation that I've had a chance to experience, and it's talent. What differentiates average companies from great companies today is talent. And you, as talent acquisition leaders, are at the forefront of this. Our goal is to help celebrate and to accelerate this transformational journey so that each person in this room and every one of you watching on the stream can make it possible to go from the 3 billion possibilities to that one perfect fit. So for the next 2 days, I'm going to encourage you to lean in, to be fully present. Proactively connect, inspire, transform yourself and the industry as a whole. Because together, we can create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And in doing so, we empower individuals and the community that surrounds them and the countries that they live in, and ultimately, the world. Thank you.